national public opinion research firm. I'd like to ask you a few quick survey questions. I'm not selling anything, and I will not ask you for a donation. In November next year, there will be an election for the Senate and other important offices. How likely are you to vote in this election? Will you definitely vote, 50-50 likelihood to vote, or are you unlikely to vote? To ensure a representative sample, can you please tell me in what year you were born? 1974. Thank you. And what best describes your race or origin? And are you from a Hispanic, Latino, or Spanish-speaking background? If the election for Senate were held today, and the candidates were Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene and Democrat Jon Ossoff, for whom would you vote? Would you definitely vote for them, or is there a chance you consider the candidate from the other party? If the election for Senate were held today and the candidates were Republican Brian Kemp and Democrat Jon Ossoff, for whom would you vote? Would you definitely vote for them, or is there a chance you consider the candidate from the other party? Now, do you have a favorable or unfavorable opinion of the following people? Brian Kemp, very favorable, somewhat unfavorable, or very unfavorable? Somewhat which way? Somewhat favorable or somewhat unfavorable? And Marjorie Taylor Greene. Okay, no opinion or unsure is an option. And Jon Ossoff. You say very favorable, somewhat unfavorable, very favorable? Raphael Warnock. Somewhat or very favorable? Donald Trump. Somewhat favorable or somewhat unfavorable? And do you approve or disapprove of the job Donald Trump is doing as president? Would you say strongly approve, somewhat disapprove, or strongly disapprove? Somewhat approve? Okay. And do you approve or disapprove of the job that Jon Ossoff is doing as senator? Somewhat approve or strongly approve? In the 2024 election for president, for whom did you vote? Trump, Harris, or did not vote? Now, I'm going to read you two randomly selected statements you might hear about the candidates running for Senate next year. In the Senate, Jon Ossoff passed a major law to lower the cost of prescription drugs and is going after big out-of-state companies who buy up homes in Georgia and increase the cost of housing. Ossoff is also leading the effort to ban corrupt stock trading by members of Congress, and he led a bipartisan investigations that exposed serious corruption in the federal government, the abuse of military families, and the U.S. Postal Service's failure to deliver mail on time in Georgia. Do you find this statement very convincing, somewhat convincing, not too convincing, or not convincing at all? And as governor, Brian Kemp banned abortion just 6 weeks into pregnancy, resulting in pregnant women in Georgia dying after being denied emergency health care. He blocked Medicaid for hundreds of thousands of Georgians, which denied children health care and led to multiple hospital closures. He put an incompetent political ally in charge of Georgia's foster care system, which lost hundreds of children to sex traffickers, and Brian Kemp fully supports Donald Trump's tariffs, which are increasing prices and driving our economy toward a recession. Do you find this statement very convincing, somewhat convincing, not too convincing, or not convincing at all? Now, sometimes in a survey like this, people change their minds. So let me ask you again, if the election for Senate were held today, would you vote for Republican Brian Kemp or Democrat Jon Ossoff? Do you have a degree from a 4-year college? And do you think of yourself as a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent? Would you say you generally lean Republican, lean Democratic, or are you a purely independent? And do you have a traditional TV service in your home? A cable, satellite, or antenna? Do you subscribe to any cable TV replacements like YouTube TV, Hulu Plus TV, or Sling TV that provide live channel lineup? And how often do you watch live programming on any of the 4 major TV networks, ABC, CBS, Fox, or NBC? For example, live sports, local news, sitcoms, or shows on a set schedule. Daily, pardon me? Daily. That concludes our survey. Thank you for your time. This call was conducted by CCL Research 202-753-0019. Mic check, homie. Mic check. One take. Let's go. Take one. But this is the key right here. Mute button on when you're not calling. Hello, my name is Adam. I'm calling for CCL Research, a national public opinion research firm.